Good morning. We are back for our Anchor our week meeting number 2. So this is number 2 of 2021, and we're excited to be here this morning. Last week, if you tuned into our video, last week we were talking about the importance of controlling your mindset. And if you did miss that video, it is on our YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch that. This week, we're just going to recap very quickly the limiting words that we learned last week. As I was going throughout my business, I learned about these limiting words, and I made a consistent effort about limiting those words in my vocabulary and in my usage. And as I started to do that, really two things happened. The first thing is I started noticing a change. I started noticing a difference in my mindset because I was changing the words. Instead of me just blurting out something that I necessarily may or may not have been edifying to me, I thought, how could I change and make sure that limiting word wasn't in that sentence or wasn't in that vocabulary? So in turn, that was causing me to actually internalize my thoughts. And before I said something, and it really brought light into how often I was using those limiting words. And the second thing is once you conquer those limiting words, you're going to start noticing those in all the people around you. It's a little unnerving sometimes because at one point I was like, oh my goodness, I used to be like that. I used to say try all the time. I used to say I can't. I used to make all of these limiting words come into my sentences, and in reality I was I was um cooperating or agreeing with those words that were coming out of my mouth, and I didn't realize it. And so what's going to happen is once you really start focusing on eliminating these limiting words, you're going to be able to notice it in other people. And when you notice it in other people, you are going to have the opportunity to be able to share where you've come from and what you've learned and how you've changed your limiting words. So those limiting words, again, it's hard. We learn that we say, instead of it's hard, it's a challenge. I haven't mastered yet. Instead of I can't, I can. Instead of I need, I choose. Remember, a need comes from lack. Instead of have to, I intend to. Instead of I want, I request or I choose. Instead of what's wrong, what's troubling you? Instead of I hate, I prefer. Instead of I hope that you have a good day, I trust that you're going to have a good day. Instead of but, and. And instead of try, I intend, I do, I did, or I am. Again, you may not have all of those words in your vocabulary. You may have trained yourself to where you don't say I can't anymore. And so that might be one of those words that it's not a reality to you. The biggest two words for me was I try and I need, because I was coming from a teaching position where we were living on government assistance. So I felt like I needed money. And it was, my business was really being built on the desire to go out and make money so I can provide for my family and not be on government assistance. And so those were the two that I really focused on. And those are the ones that you'll notice, especially if you start practicing this, putting it into practice even today or this week. Once you get rid of I try, you will notice how many people will really will use that around you, because it's once you master it, and then it becomes evident in other people's lives. And so that's where you can come in and say, hey, instead of saying I try, I'm going to try to do this, or why don't you say I intend to do this? And it's just an opportunity for you to give back what you've already learned. And then we also talked about last week about the RAS, the reticular activating system. And that was that part of the brain that once you focus on something, what you focus on expands. And that was, I used the example of the punch buggy, no punch buggy, no punch back, where if your brain, you're training your brain literally to go and find what you're focusing on. And so what you focus on expands. And that's where we talked about our thoughts, and that if we don't control what's going on up here, then all of a sudden we're going to see what we're thinking on. So if we think we're not going to have a closing, or we're just having a Grover's terrible, awful, bad day, that is what we're going to focus on and bring light to, rather than focusing on the positive that we really have in our life. And we talked about affirmations and actions and habits. I wanted to share this article. This article is from the Bold course that I took. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just got to have a couple of points that I want to share from it. This is crucial. Again, we could talk about leads. You could go anywhere on YouTube and find anything on how to generate leads. There's plenty of people that have done that. The reality is, and just like we talked about last week, that if our mindset is not right, it doesn't matter if we have leads or not, because what's going to happen is we're going to have leads and then we're going to have a bad attitude about it. Well, this buyer's not even qualified. This buyer's running me around. This listing's terrible. If our mind is not right, we're not going to be appreciative and thankful for what we have. So we're getting our mind right. We're getting our thoughts right. We're getting our words right, because all of that is going to get our life right. And then we're going to be the best real estate agent out there for our clients. So the thoughts that you allow yourself to think and the topics you allow your mind to dwell upon influence your environment. Everything in your life today is conditioned by your habitual thinking. The average person has 60,000 thoughts per day. The problem is that most people have the same thoughts as they had yesterday and the day before and the day before that. They continue with their habitual thinking until it is programmed in their brain. The state of your life is in your hands, or should we say it's in your mind. Every day you wake up and make choices. You are designing your life. You choose the state of your finances, whether to be rich or poor. I'm not talking about how much money you have due to the fact that you cannot have money and still have an abundant mindset. We're not talking about that. It's okay to have money. With that abundant, rich mindset, you will attract riches to you. When you choose a state of poor, then you attract more of the same to you. You choose rich or poor. You also choose the state of your home and your family, whether happy or sad, the state of your employment, whether fun or dreadful. You determine your future, your tomorrow, next week, and even today based on the thoughts that you're having right now. Frankly, when you understand that by changing you're changing your mind, all conditions change as well, then you will truly get a life by design. That's why we say change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. I'm going to say that again, because this was one of those statements that I focused on and I grabbed a hold of. Change the way that you look at things, and the things that you look at change. This is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's simply saying, instead of looking at that buyer that's worn you out and has taken you to 30 properties, and you're questioning and you're wondering and you're like, is this person ever going to buy? If we change the way that we look at that, the things that we look at change. Instead, we can say, I am so grateful. I am so thankful that this buyer has chosen me, to trust me to help them with their purchase. And I realize that at the end of the day, once they do find their home, once they do fall in love with it, this buyer knows how hard I've worked for them, and they're going to refer me to their friends. So I am sowing into the future for their referrals. Instead of saying, well, I'm done. I'm running out of gas. They're not ever going to buy a house. They're too picky. It's simple, but it's not easy. And that's what I struggle with coming into the end of the last year. I really had a hard time with maintaining. I changed the way that I looked at things. And so the way that I looked at things changed. This is one of the keys to a prosperous life. To change your home, your employment, your happiness, your whole life, you only have to change the fitness routine for your mind. So I want you to think about this. Have you ever been in a great mood and someone walks in and they have the gloom cloud around them? You feel it, right? You're like, ugh, I don't even want to be near that person. They are having negative thoughts and therefore creating negative energy. They are not controlling their mental mindset, their mental fitness. They are allowing their thoughts to take them anywhere. They think thoughts that are not good for them or good for us. Now, you already know that many people, including yourself, work at positive from time to time. Much like a person that goes to the gym and works out for a day or two, maybe even a week, and then they think, okay, well, I'm just going to sleep in today and not show up to the fitness class because they did not develop the habit of working out correctly every day. This workout can be like those workouts if we do not commit for 7 days straight and then commit another day and then another. So what we're going to do, what we're going to implement is we're going to implement 7 days of mental fitness. No different than we're going to the gym for 7 days straight. And I know Alex had already mentioned that he's been going to the gym. He just got back from it. So we're going to implement a mental fitness program. So for 7 days, we're going to 7 days straight. We're going to examine every single thought that we're thinking. Now, some of you may think, well, this is going to be, there's no way I could do that. I have so many thoughts. I have ADD, I have ADHD, squirrel. You may not be able to initially do it right away, but the goal is I couldn't go to the gym right now and bench press 300 pounds, but I could get there with progress and consistency. And so it may be catching every other thought if you have a lot of thoughts going on, to the point where every other thought you're going to be able to catch every thought. So commit 7 days straight to catching those. The first seven consecutive days will lay a foundation for you to build upon. Much like a person that takes up running for their physical fitness, they do not go out and run a marathon on the first day. They build up to it. You can work at a thought every now and then and have the same results as going to the gym every now and then. Or you can commit today and get fabulous results that can continue to condition you for the rest of your life. Okay, so here's how the fitness program begins. Make up your mind to devote the first 7 days, 1 week, to watching your thoughts. Wake up in the morning, crucial. So this is where I want you to take notes. Wake up in the morning and think of all the great things in your life. So part of starting up here starts with right here. You have to have gratitude in your heart. And I know, some of you have heard that, some of you may know that, but if you're not thankful for what you have, you're not going to be thankful for the things that are brought to you, for the people that come to you. If I can't be thankful for that client that's run me around town 30 houses, then I'm not going to be thankful for that client that comes in and buys the first house with me. By the way, I haven't done that yet. So still working on that. Hey, can we just show up and you just buy the first house I show you? But we have to start off our day with being grateful and thankful. That is going to shift how we see the rest of the day. If we're thankful that, and part of that looks like, I just wake up, my eyes open, I'm here. I'm here another day. Thank you, Father, for allowing me to have another day on this earth. Thank you for allowing me to be a blessing to somebody. Thank you for the blessings that you're going to pour out over me. Thank you for the bed that I'm sleeping in. Thank you for the food that I'm about to eat. Thank you for the coffee that I'm about to drink. Thank you for my healthy family, my healthy children. Thank you for the vehicles that are sitting in my driveway right now. Thank you for the money that's in my bank account. Do you see how easy that is? To just start a thankful snowball, versus if I were to wake up and say, oh my gosh, I got to do that anchor meeting. I didn't sleep last night. I don't want to get on here. It's raining outside. Now I just washed my car. Do you see the difference? It's night and day. And so the first step for you to start this fitness program, just like going to the gym, right? What's the first thing? Am I just going to go in there and bench? No, I'm probably going to stretch a little bit. I'm going to, do a little wing movement. I might do some push-ups, get my muscles loosened up. This is getting your brain loosened up to be able to start capturing your thoughts. So go ahead and start with being thankful. Now, it would be very helpful for you to write these down, but I understand if you just want to lay in bed as soon as you wake up and just go through a 5-10 minute of gratitude. Think of everything that you're thankful for. Now, I shared this post around Thanksgiving a couple years back, and it was one of those posts that really kind of stopped me in my tracks. And this might help you. This might be encouraging for you to do this, but it went to the fact of this. What would you have tomorrow if the only things that happened tomorrow were the things that you were grateful for yesterday, or that you were thankful for the day before? Right. And so maybe that will help you. Maybe you say, well, if I get to tomorrow and I wasn't thankful for anything today, I'm not going to have anything tomorrow. And so that's kind of that mindset. It's that reality that if you're not thankful for it, it'll easily go somewhere else. It doesn't have to come to you. So no matter what happens, you must not allow yourself to dwell on a negative thought. That's number 2. Do not allow yourself to dwell on a negative thought. In this workout, minute by minute, you commit to not dwell on any thought that is not positive, constructive, or optimistic. Now, this is a discipline that you may find strenuous. And most of the time there's a lot of people that are walking around with a lot of negativity up here. You can tell. Tim and I were talking before we went live. You can feel, you start noticing people. You can walk into a room and their facial expressions and the words that come out, you're like, ooh, I don't want to be anywhere near him. I don't desire to be around them. And so if we can pick up on it, that means other people can pick up on it, which means our clients can eventually pick up on it. That if we're walking around with negativity and we're Oscar the Grouch, no one wants to hang out with Oscar the Grouch. Let's be real. So this is the discipline that you may find strenuous. And if you find yourself being unusually tired in the evening, then you know it is working and you're altering your life for the better. So you're going to report back next week. I want you to tell me, how did it go? Have you been working on capturing those negative thoughts? What changes did you see from those? Because you will see a difference. Now, one thing that I want you to know is that our thoughts, they're going to change automatically because we're capturing those thoughts and the images that we place in our mind. We're going to keep them positive at all times. So say, for example, that thought comes in, oh my gosh, this buyer's they're not going to buy, or they're wearing me out. They're super difficult. Then we change that. We make that into a positive. Hey, and we've already talked about this. I'm thankful for this buyer. They're using me and not somebody else. And I've had that. Just as a transparency, I worked with a client for a year and a half, cash buyer. I would jump at the drop of a hat. They would say new property, we would be there. And it got to the point where my mindset was, they're never going to buy. It's a year and a half. They're wearing me out. And what happened? And so then I brought in somebody else to help me. I'm like, hey, I really can't do this. So I brought in another agent from our brokerage, and they were dropping at the top, at the drop of the hat, and they were going. And sure enough, new property comes on the market. I was busy. I was going to, because I felt like, oh man, I really need to get back to them. I didn't want to just push them off. The other agent was busy. They went and looked at the property with the listing agent, ended up putting the property under contract, and I didn't get anything. Even if I would have had a signed buyer brokerage, I did have one, but it expired. But even then, so that was it was a wake up call for me. I've not had that happen. Sure, I've had other buyers, like from online leads, where I'd meet them, we'd work for a little bit, and then they'd go off on their own because they didn't know. I didn't do a good job educating them. But this was somebody that it was a personal referral, and I had worked with them for a year and a half. And so my mindset got in my way, and I ended up losing $5,000. It was a $5,000 costly mistake. So as you embark on any fitness program, you know that your mind's going to play tricks on you. You will think that the workout is too advanced for you. You will crave the negative drama that you were once experiencing. Your mind will want to go toward the negative. You will miss gossiping about somebody or something. You will find yourself using energy to fight the urges that you have just to say one thing, much like sleeping in just one day and missing your workout. Negative thinking is when you're dwelling on failure, disappointment, or trouble. Any thought of criticism or jealousy or spite or condemnation of others or yourself, or any thought of sickness or accident, in short, any kind of limitation or pessimistic thinking. That's what that's what the negative thoughts are. Any thoughts that concern you or anyone else that is not positive or constructive. So I'm going to read that again because that's what you're wanting to focus on. These are the thoughts that you want to capture: failure, disappointment, trouble, thought of criticism or jealousy, spite or condemnation of others or yourself. Most likely it's going to be about yourself. Thoughts of sickness or accident. I'm worried. Gosh, I don't want to go out today. I don't want to get in an accident. Any kind of limitation or pessimistic thinking. That is what you're capturing. Any thought that concerns you or anyone else is not positive or constructive. That's what you're capturing. The fitness program is about being positive, uplifting, and encouraging to yourself and others. It's not about dwelling on negative thoughts. It's not even entertaining it's not even for entertaining them. Once again, we know that we cannot control the first thought that comes into your brain, yet you can control every thought after that. Disregard those negative thoughts and replace them with positive thoughts. Some negative thoughts or comments will come from other people, a newspaper, television, the news, email, telephone. These don't matter. Just disregard them and do not dwell on them. I think, and there's more to that article, but that's what I wanted to share today. I think we're in a very pivotal time, just in the United States in general. There's a lot of turmoil, a lot of turnover, and this is not by any means political, but there's a lot of people in America right now that are concerned, that you can tell immediately. You can tell by their Facebook posts. You can tell about the conversations that they talk about, how they're concerned and how they're dwelling on the negativity and the potential of a negative outcome. And if we can go ahead and start putting this into practice, make that 7-day commitment to yourself. You're not making it to me. You're not making it to anybody else but yourself, and capture those thoughts. It's natural. I still have negative thoughts. They still want to barrage me. They still want to come in and tell me I can't do it, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not going to make money, or I still get those. But the difference is that I choose not to dwell on them, because remember, what you focus on expands. So there's always a positive. So turn whatever situation that you're struggling with today, whatever that thought or whatever you're dealing with, figure out a way to make it positive. There's something in there. You might have to dig a little bit longer. You may have to think a little bit longer on it. But here's what's happening. So you have a negative situation. You stop instead of dwelling on it and letting it snowball out of control. Now what you're doing is you're stopping and you're picking that situation apart to find the positive. What you're really doing is you're stopping yourself from dwelling on that any further and snowballing out of control. And two, now you're going to go in and you're learning how to decipher and pull apart negative situations and still look at the good things that have come out of it. So that's what I want you to focus on this week. Let me know how it goes. And I know this made a huge difference in my business. Next week, make sure that you tune back in, because we're going to have one of our agents, Alex Sierra, your real estate agent. He is going to be teaching us how to farm leads from social media, specifically Facebook. So if maybe you're in the business and you're brand new, and these videos, these mindset videos have helped you, tune in next week. We're going to teach you how to generate your own leads at a fraction of the cost of what the online lead platforms are charging: Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com. So tune back in. Alex is going to teach us, and I trust that you're going to have a wonderful week. I bless you guys, and thanks for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.